The eviction notice gave her 48 hours. Amanda Williams had 2 days to keep the only home her son had ever known.
2 days. That's all we have left in this apartment.
She looked at her son, then at the stack of bills on the counter, and made a choice.
Caleb, put your shoes on. We're going to the diner for pancakes.
But Mom, shouldn't we be packing?
Packing can wait. Today, we're having a special breakfast.
They walked the 3 blocks to the Sunset Diner, her hand tight around his. The E in the neon sign flickered. Amanda's bank account held $23.41. The pancakes were $14. She ordered coffee for herself.
Extra whipped cream.
48 hours. After that, we might not even have a kitchen, but right now, he's smiling.
At the next table, a man in a navy windbreaker handed a card to the waitress without looking up.
Sir, I am sorry. This card was declined.
Declined? That can't be right. I'll have to. I don't have another one.
His daughter, a small girl with curly red hair, watched him fumble for another card and find nothing.
She saw his face turn red. The little girl's eyes were wide. No one should face that with their child watching. Maggie, please add his bill to my tab.
Are you sure, honey? That's $14. And I saw you counting change earlier.
I am sure. Just do it. The girl shouldn't see her dad like this.
She handed over her debit card, and her phone buzzed with the bank app. The balance flashed, -$8.45. Across the aisle, Richard looked at his check marked "Paid," other table, and his eyes searched the diner, landing on the woman in the cream sweater. Amanda took Caleb's hand and walked out. Richard watched her go, the receipt still in his hand.
Waitress? That woman in the cream sweater. Do you know her name?
That's Amanda. She's been coming here since before her boy was born. Sweetest soul in Queens.
She's on the verge of eviction. I can feel it. And yet she paid for a stranger.
Richard left a large tip and followed the path out, his daughter Emily already forgetting the awkward moment.
Come on, baby. We need to get back to packing.
I wish we didn't have to move. I like our apartment.
Me too, baby. But with 48 hours left, a negative bank account, and no miracle in sight, I don't know how.
While Amanda stacked boxes, Richard stood outside the diner, his phone pressed to his ear.
This is Richard Dalton. Pull up the tenant file for Bayside, apartment 4B. I want to know everything about Amanda Williams.
By morning, Amanda had packed everything but the kitchen. The phone rang with a number she knew. She picked up, expecting a reminder of the Friday deadline. The voice on the other end was calm.
Miss Williams, this is Olivia. Your eviction has been canceled.
Canceled? Why? We were supposed to be out tomorrow.
The owner made the decision personally. I don't have details.
The owner? I don't even know his name. Something feels off.
She hung up, grabbed her coat, and headed to the office. Her mind raced with questions. At the management office, Olivia sat behind the counter, looking uncomfortable.
Olivia, please. Just tell me who the owner is and why he changed his mind.
I am sorry. I can't share that information. You'll have to wait for contact.
Back at her apartment, Amanda noticed a white envelope on the floor. Someone had slipped it under the door. The note read, "Miss Williams, I believe we should talk. Meet me at the Sunset Diner tomorrow at 9 a.m. Richard D."
Richard D. The owner? After 2 years of silence, he sends a note. What game is this?
She knocked on Elena's door. The older woman had lived in the building for 15 years.
Elena, do you know anything about the building owner? A Richard Dalton?
See, he's the one who bought it 2 years ago. But nobody ever sees him. I heard he owns buildings all over the city.
And he just canceled my eviction. He wants to meet at the diner tomorrow.
The diner? That's strange. Be careful, Mika. Rich men don't suddenly get kind.
She's right. But I need answers. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., I'll find out.
That night, she barely slept, staring at the ceiling, the note on her nightstand like a summons. Across town, in a glass-walled office high above the city, Richard Dalton had been planning something very different. Blueprints covered his desk, luxury condos, rooftop terrace, and a clause to evict every tenant in the Bayside building.
Mixed income was never the plan. I was going to gut the place and start fresh.
For months, he'd been testing a theory. He would dine at local spots, deliberately decline his card, and watch.
You learn more about a person in that one moment than in a boardroom pitch.
He had seen anger, pity, indifference. But then, the diner. A woman in a cream sweater who was counting change herself.
She didn't even hesitate. Her own account went negative, and she never asked for thanks.
That night, he called his office and canceled the eviction. Then he told his investors he was pivoting. They called him crazy, but he kept seeing her face. The way she protected his daughter from an awkward moment.
Now, I have to convince her. I am not the monster she thinks I am.
At 9 a.m., Amanda walked into the Sunset Diner and saw the man from yesterday, his daughter beside him coloring.
Miss Williams, I am Richard Dalton. I believe you saved me a lot of embarrassment yesterday.
You? You are the building owner? The man from yesterday with the declined card?
Yes, I've owned Bayside for 2 years. That card decline was deliberate. A test to see how people act.
A test? You toy with people for a test? I overdraw my account, and you call it a test?
I didn't expect anyone to pay. Least of all someone who clearly couldn't afford it. You changed my mind about everything.
Changed your mind? You were evicting us all, and now you have some revelation from a diner bill?
I planned luxury condos. Now I want mixed income housing, and I want to hire you to lead the community redesign.
You think a job offer makes up for playing God with people's lives?
She didn't wait for an answer. The diner door swung shut behind her, leaving Richard alone with his daughter, who had never looked up from her drawing. Amanda walked home with her chest tight. She found Caleb in his room, packing his action figures into a box alone.
Baby, that man at the diner was our landlord. He offered me a job to stay.
So we don't have to move. Can I keep my bedroom?
If I trust him, we could lose everything again. If I don't, we lose our home for sure.
She knocked on Elena's door again. The older woman opened it, her face full of questions.
Elena, did you get an eviction notice last month? Was it canceled too?
See, mija, 2 days ago, I didn't know what to think. The office said the owner changed the policy.
That night, Amanda called the number on the note. Olivia answered, but then Richard's voice came on the line.
Mr. Dalton, I want a written proposal. Rent, forgiveness, job details, the whole plan. On paper.
She hung up and looked at Caleb, who was already asleep on the couch. Now she just had to wait. The next morning, a thick envelope slid under Amanda's door. Inside, a formal contract with rent forgiveness, a job description, and benefits.
She read each line. 6 months rent forgiveness, a salary of $52,000, healthcare. It felt unreal. She picked up the phone and called her cousin in Brooklyn. Girl, you won't believe what just landed on my table. He wants me to run the whole community redesign. Rent-free for 6 months. I don't know whether to laugh or run. You think so? Because last week we were packing boxes, and now this?
That afternoon, she needed a familiar face. She found Maggie at the Sunset Diner, wiping down the counter.
Maggie, you've seen that man Richard around here? What's he really like?
I've seen him, honey. He's been in every week since that day. Quiet, but different. Talks about second chances. He told me you made him see things differently. I think he means it.
Amanda walked home with the contract in her bag. Heavier than it looked. Maybe there was something real here.
The next morning, she took the subway downtown, walked into the high-rise lobby, and asked for Richard Dalton's office.
I read your contract, Mr. Dalton. It's generous, but I have conditions before I sign.
Name them.
A tenant advisory board elected by residents, not appointed by you. I lead it. And a 20-year guarantee this building stays mixed income.
Done. I'll have my lawyer add the clauses right now. That's fair. Is there anything else?
She pulled out a pen, added her signature to both copies, and slid them across the desk. The eviction was officially dismissed. They shook hands across the desk. It felt more binding than any legal term. 2 days later, Amanda unlocked a small office in the building's basement, now labeled Community Coordinator.
This is real. I am still here.
On the desk, a typed letter from Richard read, "Welcome home, Community Coordinator Williams." Her first tenant meeting filled the community room with 20 skeptical neighbors in folding chairs.
I am Amanda Williams, 4B. I almost got evicted too. But the owner changed his mind, and I made sure he put it in writing for all of us.
And why should we trust you, Mija? You work for the man who wanted to kick us out.
From the back, a young man shouted, "You are just a sellout with a new title." Murmurs rippled through the room.
I am not selling anyone out. There's a 20-year mixed income guarantee and a tenant board you elect. I just coordinate.
Across town, Richard faced a different storm. His investors had called an emergency meeting. One of them slid a paper across the table. "This mixed income pivot is financial suicide," he said.
Then pull your funding. I am not going back to luxury condos. This is the right thing.
$2 million walked out that door. Richard's phone buzzed. A text from Amanda. "First meeting, rough, but we're still standing." He typed back, "So are we. Barely." Both battles were just beginning. 3 weeks later, City Hall. The zoning board would decide if Bayside could become mixed income. Amanda gripped her notes. Richard sat beside her, his tie crooked from stress. A council member leaned forward. "Miss Williams, why should we prioritize low-income tenants over luxury development?"
Amanda stood. Because those tenants are the backbone of this city. They've paid rent on time for years. They deserve a home, not a displacement notice. This isn't charity. It's a 20-year commitment. We'll pay our way, and we'll prove mixed income works.
Richard added, I was ready to build condos, but I learned you can't measure a community in square footage.
The council huddled. The longest 30 minutes of Amanda's life. The chairperson's gavel cracked the silence. Zoning variance approved. 4-1. Amanda felt her knees buckle. Richard caught her elbow. They had won.
She looked at Richard. One hurdle down. Now the real work begins.
Construction started with a roar. Scaffolding covered the east wall. Amanda worked 18-hour days, coordinating contractors and mediating tenant complaints.
If one more person yells at me about parking, I might lose my mind. Yes, I hear you. The noise is temporary. We're building a playground, not a nightclub.
That week, 3 tenants filed noise complaints, and the drywall delivery was 2 days late. Amanda missed Caleb's school play.
I can't do this. I'm failing my son. And half the building still hates me.
She walked to the diner at 11 p.m., the only place still open.
I think I made a mistake, Maggie. Every day feels like a fight I am losing.
Honey, you've already won the biggest fight. You kept your home. This mess is just the sequel. Remember the day you paid for that man's pancakes? You didn't do that because it was easy. You did it because it was right. Same thing now.
She's right. I didn't fight eviction to give up at the first burnout.
On Sunday, the newspaper ran a glowing feature on Bayside, but buried deep in the story was Richard's original luxury condo plan. A source was quoted. Dalton planned to evict long-term tenants until a stranger's kindness in a diner changed his path. Richard's phone buzzed with venom. He scrolled through comments calling him a slumlord and a fraud.
Now every comment section wants my head on a plate.
The next day, a local television station invited both of them to share their side.
He's not the same man. People can change when they're shown grace. That's a story worth telling.
She's standing up for me after everything I put her through.
That night, Caleb woke burning with a fever of 103. Amanda's hands shook as she checked the thermometer. Richard arrived with a pediatrician and a bag of medicine. He didn't leave the apartment.
She let herself lean on someone for the first time in years.
The scaffolding came down on a Tuesday. The new garden bloomed in the center courtyard, and a bright playground stood where the old dumpster used to sit.
Mom, look at the slide. I'm gonna go first.
After all the noise and dust and complaints, to hear him laugh again.
That afternoon, Maggie stood behind the diner counter, staring at the lease renewal document Richard handed her.
You locked in my rent for 20 years? Oh, honey, I never thought I'd see the day.
You were the first person who ever told me what Amanda did. Consider this a thank you.
Evening came. Amanda found Richard on the rooftop, staring at the city skyline.
60 days ago, I was packing boxes. Now I am standing on the roof of a building I helped save.
You didn't just help save it. You changed what it stands for.
They watched the sun dip behind the old diner's neon sign, now fixed and glowing, a new chapter already beginning. The renaming ceremony took place on a Saturday morning. A white banner with Bayside Commons covered the old sign. Amanda stood at the microphone. A crowd of tenants and reporters gathered under the new garden trellis.
63 families were on eviction lists. Today, every single one still has a key. That's not just a policy change, that's a promise.
In the front row, Caleb sat between Elena and Richard's daughter, Emily, holding a crayon drawing of their building.
I am not standing here because I am special. I am standing here because someone finally listened.
Richard took the microphone. For a moment, he didn't speak. Then he faced the residents.
I was ready to erase this place. I was wrong, and I'll spend the rest of my career proving that.
He looked at Amanda. She's the reason we're here. Not because she paid a bill, but because she believed in people. After the applause, the crowd moved to the diner, where Maggie had reserved the big booth. That became their monthly meeting spot. That day, a small framed receipt went up on the diner wall. The 14th of June, paid by Amanda Williams. $14. The start of Bayside Commons. A week after the ceremony, Amanda found a brochure for night classes in urban planning tucked under her door.
She read the course list. Zoning law, community development, affordable housing, finance. This was exactly what she needed. Richard, I want to go back to school for urban planning. I need to learn the system if I'm going to help more families.
I'll cover it. Think of it as a grant, not a handout. You've earned it.
Number. I appreciate it, but I need to do this on my own. This is my next step, not yours.
She registered that night with money she had saved from her new salary. No loans, no gifts. 2 days later, they walked the garden path again, the autumn sun catching the last marigolds.
You are stubborn, Williams, but I respect it.
I learned from the best. A man who gave up luxury condos for a diner receipt.
She looked at the garden, already planning the next project. Her notebook had a new title, Bayside Commons Expansion. 1 year later, Bayside Commons was no longer a project. It was a neighborhood. The garden grew tall, and the waiting list for apartments stretched into the double digits.
Amanda stared at her laptop screen. Her first semester grades. A minus. She couldn't stop smiling.
Mom, I got the math award. They said I am the best in 3rd grade.
The Sunset Diner had a new sign, Sunset Diner and Community Hub. Underneath, smaller letters read, where Bayside Commons began.
Sitting on the courtyard bench, she watched kids running through the garden, the same garden she fought for. All of this started because I couldn't stand to see a stranger embarrassed in front of his daughter.
On her desk, next to the laptop, was a framed photo of the diner receipt from the 14th of June. She never forgot where she started.
When I grow up, I want to build playgrounds like the one in our courtyard.
We made it. Not just survived, but built something that will outlast us.
Bayside Commons stood against the sunset, a quiet proof that a single act of kindness can rewrite the future of a whole block. Later that evening, Amanda sat on the courtyard bench, watching the last light fade over Bayside Commons. The building stood quiet, a place that now felt like home.
She pulled out her phone and stared at the screen, thinking of how far they had all come.
She typed a message to Richard. Still can't believe that $14 did all this. His reply came quickly. It wasn't the money, Amanda. It was you.
She read it twice, then a third time. A small laugh escaped her, the kind that releases something heavy.
The courtyard was quiet now, just the distant hum of the diner sign and the smell of evening flowers.
I didn't save the building, she thought. I just reminded someone that people matter more than profit.
She leaned back on the bench, and for the first time in years, she felt completely at peace.
That $14 was the best investment I ever made.
She smiled, and the sunset wrapped the building in gold. The next morning, the Sunset Diner buzzed with the kind of warmth that only comes from shared history. In the corner booth, Amanda, Caleb, Richard, and Emily squeezed in together, their laughter louder than the sizzle of the grill.
Pancake parade. And don't even think about paying. Richard already tripled the tip.
Some things money can't buy, but pancakes, those I can handle.
Extra whipped cream, please. Just like the first time.
She watched them all. Her son, the man who had once been a stranger, his daughter, and felt a gratitude so deep it ached.
Behind them, on the diner wall, the framed receipt was now part of the decor. A small plaque beneath it read, "Where it all began." Amanda stood and walked over. She pressed her fingertips to the glass, tracing the faded numbers.
The 14th of June. I overdraw my account, and look where we are.
Where we are is because you saw a need and filled it. No test, no strategy, just heart.
They returned to the table, and the diner hummed with the music of a family made by kindness. Outside, the new sign glinted in the sun, promising that every meal was a community meeting. As dusk settled over Bayside Commons, the windows glowed with the light of dinner tables, of homework, of families who were once told they had no future here. A single act of anonymous kindness had unraveled. A landlord's plan built a community and taught everyone that grace is the most disruptive force in the world. Amanda's mother used to say that kindness always comes back, not as a reward, but as a structure, something you build that others can live inside. The Sunset Diner sign buzzed to life, its letters reflecting off the pavement like a mirror of the moon. It was more than a restaurant now. It was a landmark of second chances. Inside the building, the garden paths were dark, but the memory of children's laughter still hung in the air like a promise. That single $14 receipt, now framed on a diner wall, had become the foundation of a neighborhood. Amanda didn't set out to save the world. She just couldn't let a stranger's daughter watch him struggle. That's how movements begin. The diner door swung open, and a family walked in. Maggie greeted them by name. This was no longer just a business. It was home, and above it all, the neon sign glowed steady, no longer flickering, a beacon that said, "Here, everyone gets a seat." Sunset melted into night over Bayside Commons, and the world felt, for a moment, exactly as it should. Morning broke over Bayside Commons, soft and gold. The garden caught the first light, and the playground stood ready for another day of laughter. Amanda stepped out the front door, Caleb's hand in hers. His backpack bounced as they walked. They passed the community garden, where marigolds bloomed in Amy's old plot. The building's new sign cast a long shadow. The diner sign hummed above them as they reached the corner. Its neon was off, but the letters were still proud. Inside the diner, the framed receipt caught the morning sun. It had become a quiet shrine.
She thought of that day. The embarrassment, the quiet decision, the trembling hand that handed over her card.
She traced her finger on the glass. Same diner, same booth, same woman. Everything had changed. They began walking again toward the park. Behind them, Bayside Commons rose like a promise kept. The neighborhood stretched before them, full of people she now knew by name. A woman waved from a window. As they turned the corner into the full morning sun, the diner receipt remained on the wall behind them. A small, silent proof that the most ordinary kindness can build a world.